Hello everyone, this is Smirin, and this is episode 11 of Building a Toy Box from Scratch. In this episode, we are actually going to be working on the gameplay a bit more. We're going to be combining everything together. We're going to put in a challenge maker and actually turn this whole thing into a challenge. So, to do that, surprisingly, by the way we've built so far, there's not going to actually be a lot of logic, and it's been a lot of trial and error. I've built a few toy boxes, let's say, and I've learned some tricks along the way that we're going to use here. So I'm going to put down a challenge maker, a timer, and a scoreboard. That's really all we're going to need right now. So this challenge that we're doing is going to be a timed challenge, but the outcome will be based on a score. And the score will be all completely based on when the townsperson reaches the water here or enters that trigger area there will increase the score, and that's the only time we'll increase the score. So we were saying before that we wanted to have a time limit of 5 minutes. 300 seconds is exactly 5 minutes. So I actually don't have to change anything on that timer. And there's very few things I'm going to connect to this challenge maker right now. And one of the main things I'm going to connect, I will eventually disconnect for the actual game. We're just going to connect it for testing now. But what I do usually connect is I'll do some invites accepted, which is the very first logic that's sent out when a challenge maker first hasn't even started yet. It's saying, does anyone else want to play, or are you sure you want to play? That's when this one fires off. And what I do with it is I'm going to reset important things like the timer and the scoreboard just to be safe. In case the challenge is replayable, this one likely won't be for various reasons. But even if it's not, I find it safest just to reset scoreboards and timers when you're first starting, just to be on the safe side. It also helps alleviate some people who like to go in and cheat, although they could just remove that connection from it anyway to keep cheating. But we'll get into that later on. Cheating's not a huge problem in Disney Infinity anyway. It just does annoy you a little bit when you look at your leaderboard and there's an obviously impossible score on it. But moving on. So, one of the tricks I've learned is I almost never attach many things to the started logic of a challenge maker, which I used to do a lot, and I'm sure a lot of people still do, because you don't want to hook up your logic and have to rely on it and later look back and say, oh crap, I wish I could do this now, but I can't because I've got like 27 things hooked up to that start of the challenge maker and I don't want to mess with it. So what you do instead is you use this control or anchor or whatever you want to call it, logic gate, just as a simple pass-through point. This logic gate up here is actually going to start all our gameplay. We already set it up for the vast majority of it, and now all we want when the challenge actually starts is we want to make sure we start this timer. And so now we've updated that, and for testing and testing only, this is the logic I said we would be removing later. I'm going to put a started message from that challenge maker and input it into this logic gate to start the challenge. Later that will not be. We will remove that, and that's going to be another video when we're talking about putting instructions into the game to make sure people know exactly what you want them to do and how to do it and things like that. But for now, for testing reasons, we're going to send that signal there first. Now another thing we're going to do is we want, as I said before, this gameplay to be based on scores. So we're going to link the score results of the scoreboard to the challenge maker. And what this does is when you send a game completed message to the challenge maker, it's going to eventually pop up now with a results board that's going to show you your score. And that's because you linked the scoreboard. If you didn't link the scoreboard, that results board would never show up. So there's one other thing we want from this timer. When this timer expires, when that 5 minutes is up, that's when we want our complete the game signal to hit the challenge maker. Fairly simple so far. Because we've been working in sections and we've already been testing by using this logic gate here to test it, that made throwing this challenge maker down extremely simple. So there's not a lot we actually have to do in it. We're going to look at the properties. And the properties, right now, I'm not too concerned about. Result score is going to be points. It is going to be high to low because we want a higher score to be better. We'll eventually put in a start location, and it probably won't be separate. We'll just do all players at one location, which is going to involve a locator, and I'll do that in a second since we're doing this anyway. And location, in this case, by the end, when we've got all the gameplay put in, you'll see that end location isn't really going to matter. The Quit Toy Box game, when ended, auto start, ever since this patch seems to have fixed it, and you can't tell I'm air quoting, but it seems to have fixed it. But in the last patch before this, there was a problem where it didn't, you notice how it says Toy Box Game, which means only if you save it as a Toy Box game will this happen. Well, in the last patch, it didn't have to be a Toy Box game. It could just be your regular Toy Box, which meant if you turned auto start on and quit Toy Box when ended on, then the second you loaded your Toy Box, the challenge maker would end, and if you quit the challenge to try to edit or save something, your Toy Box would quit. So I don't turn those on till the very last second, and I usually only turn them on for the Toy Box game save. But we'll get there when we get to the end of this box. Game start countdown, I'm going to turn it off for now because it's going to save me 3 seconds every time I test by not having that turned on. And title and description, I don't care yet. And challenge type, it's going to be, we're not even going to need to touch this. So it's moot. So that's our properties. And we said we were going to grab a locator. And that locator is going to be our start point. Not incredibly relevant, but in this exact case, but let's show it properly. New locator, and I did set it to say the all signal. So you'll notice in this first option it says all or player one or blue team start. Since I selected all, this is where everyone will spawn. And just to be hunky-dory, I'll put them over here by this end signal. All that will move later on before we get into finalizing the gameplay, but for now, that's where we'll put everything. So I would say we are actually good to test this out, where we would have a 5-minute game going, except for the part where we haven't added any score yet. That would be egg on our face. Okay, so I see this trigger area. It was going down to this logic gate over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say any townsperson that went into that trigger area sends an input to this logic gate, which is sending an output to the kill switch. We're also going to send an output to the scoreboard. And in a gameplay like this, the thing is you have to keep people interested and you have to make them feel like they're accomplishing something. That's really one of the tricks to gameplay. So if I say every time a townsperson gets there, increase the score by 1, that's going to bore people because they're only spawning every, 17 seconds and 13, and they're not spawning very often. And you're not gonna get them all over there. So only every 30 seconds or so are you gonna get a townsperson to the other side. And if the score goes up by 1, you're gonna be like, whoop-de-doo. So I'm gonna try it by 8. I'm gonna give it a good jump. Not a huge jump, but a good enough jump that it feels like a bit of an accomplishment. And it'll go up by 8, player 1. So I believe what I'm going to do now is I am going to be following my own advice. We're going to always from now on save, test, load. That is the process we are going to be following now, as I had mentioned earlier. So now I'm going to save the game and I'll get right back to you. Alright, so we saved the game and now we are going to step on that challenge maker and test out the gameplay. Now please remember in the last video we didn't actually finish testing everything. So we're going to cross our fingers and hope it all actually works. But this is the nature of the beast. You always have to test and test and test and test some more. So we are now going to test what the gameplay feels like. Something did not like that. We'll have to see what happened there. But anyway, so moving the camera, and we've moved the Yeti under and back up. And because we have no fires or anything, we're all good to go. The camera's moving faster. I like that. Now I can move him up. Camera's moving faster, and I also find it's moving smoother, which is also good. And bring him down. Okay, so far I haven't had any issues with the townsperson triggering actor information. And I'll bring him up. Again, still no problems yet, which is awesome. Score of 8. Where'd the first guy go? Perhaps he didn't make it. So we've got our first fire popped up here at approximately 4 minutes. And that means I'm going to want to go under now, just to be on the safe side. I'm pretending I'm the player who's trying to find the easiest way to do this. I just found a great path for that, so hopefully I'm going to set a fire in the way that soon. Alright, a monkey. Again, I've had no issues so far with getting the triggering actor information. And I've lost control of him there. He's outside the circle, but that's perfect. And I believe the next fire should be coming up right there. Yeah, it was 50 seconds in. That's a good spot for the fire because it makes you have to go up and really look at it and line it up good. All good. Now we have Dumbo here. So far the gameplay has been working just excellent. We haven't lost control at all yet. Oh, geez. That fire was a little mean to pop up there, so I'd say that's a good choice. Because now we have to come back further to avoid that fire, because it's right in our path. And have him go like that. Have him go like that. See all good? Excellent. Oh wow, just hit the corner there. All good there. Oh, I forgot we put her in there. That's just funny. Now we should, since we're on testing, drop an enemy down there. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry about that, Lauren. And we should also have one walk into the fire just to make sure that he is gone when he does that. Okay, perfect. And we should be, are we at 4 fires right now? We should be at 4 fires. We're at 4 fires. Oh, what's he doing up there? Oh, that's a mean place to put that fire, because now you have to... And the last one should pop up now. There it is. Excellent. So I'm going to pretend I'm talking and not control. Oh, now I feel bad. Anyway, so far the gameplay has been working great. I like that the fires popped up in different areas. It didn't all pop up in order like last time. What happened to Dumbo right there? I'm not entirely sure what's happening to Dumbo there. Let's hope this Okay, I would say that's a fluke because I just got him to move perfectly. And got him to move. I'd say we're doing good. And now we'll let the gameplay run out and see what our final score is. Gameplay's over, timer's done. Score of 0. Oh, of course, I know what I did there. Common mistake with a scoreboard, and I kick myself every time I do it because I give myself a slight panic attack wondering what I broke now, when there's a very simple explanation that this option of play to on a scoreboard, whenever the score hits that number, it's going to reset and start at 0 all over again. And of course, we were incrementing by 8 every time, shooting way over that play to limit. So basically, every time we had a townsperson reach that trigger area, we were resetting the scoreboard. So I'm not going to do it now because I told you before that we save, test, and reload. So I've got to reload before I even adjust this. Do not adjust the scoreboard and then save again because that breaks the rule. We've talked about the rule. The rule is sacred. There's no exceptions. So in the next episode, first thing we're going to do is change the score on that scoreboard. So this has been Sumerian. I hope this video has been helpful to you. We've got the gameplay working pretty much how we want to right now, so we're doing good. I'm thinking the next episode we might even get into some trees and stuff like that. See what we'll do up there. So again, this is Sumerian. This has been episode 11, and I hope it's been helpful. Have yourselves all a wonderful day.